Yeah, sorry for being late. Apparently I can't be on time even on my own senior speech day. So let's go ahead and get into this. I'll go ahead and just give a summary of my life. That seems to be what a lot of people do for these things. Let's start from square one. I was born in Ohio on January 21st, 2001. I was the first child of four. My brother was born in 2002. Our family lived in Ohio for the next few years. Those vague memories consist mainly of us visiting relatives, who all lived nearby. In 2003, my family moved to Tokyo, Japan, where my dad traveled to fill a strategic need for his accounting firm, Ernst & Young. I still to this day have no idea what it is exactly he does there, even though he's tried to explain it. Nonetheless, during our time in Japan, my family took advantage of the close proximity of the other Asian countries and traveled frequently. On top of all that, we would go back to Ohio every summer. When we traveled, we would stay in five-star luxury resorts and fly on nice planes in first class. Back then, I thought that all resorts and planes were that nice. It really was an incredible experience, and we were very fortunate. A lot of people wish they could do that in their lifetime, but never get around to doing it. It's the kind of thing you find on a bucket list. The only issue is that I was younger, so the memories aren't as clear as more recent things. We lived in Japan for 7 years, spending almost all that time sightseeing and traveling the world. But in 2008, my youngest brother and sister were born, and things slowed down. With little kids around, traveling wasn't ideal anymore. By 2010, my dad's work in Japan was finished, and we moved to California. We settled in a house in Palos Verdes. My brother and I were excited to be back in the US. After being here for 9 years, I can safely say I love this country, but I don't think I realized how lucky I was to be living the life I had in Japan. Once we got settled in, I entered the public school system. I went to an elementary school called Vista Grande. Near the end of my time there, I began getting in trouble more frequently for stupid things I did, often on impulse. This continued until around the end of 8th grade. I remember middle school most clearly. I went to a school called Ridgecrest. It was a pretty rough time for me since I was getting in trouble so much. I was in the principal's office so consistently that it became something of a friend. At a certain point, he just stopped punishing me and instead began to advocate for me. The issue was that I have ADHD and I kept doing stupid impulsive things like fighting people, throwing rocks, saying something mean to some sensitive kid, not paying attention in class, pushing, shoving, making the PE teacher mad on purpose, and the list continues. I was very impulsive, but with my parents' and principal's help, I stopped getting in as much trouble by 8th grade. I still got called into the office more often than my peers, but it was less than previous years. By the end of middle school, I had much better control over my impulses. I also learned how to not get caught doing stupid things, which always helps. Socially, I've never been one to surround myself with a huge crowd. Rather, I have a smaller number of friends, but they're really good ones. I made a solid number of friends during middle school, but nothing that really carried over to high school. But there are 3 friends of mine that have been with me for a long time. They're still by far my best friends. I've known them for around 9 years now. We try to hang out in person as much as we possibly can. We all live less than 5 minutes from each other, so that's also helpful. A lot of my best memories are with those friends. I was going to continue through the public school system for high school, but my parents decided that Penn High, where I was going to go, wouldn't be a good fit for me. Instead, they looked for private schools, and RHB ended up being the one I went to. I didn't want to be here at first. I wanted to go to Penn with my friends, and part of me still does, if I'm being honest. But this school has great academics, and I played baseball here with a good deal of success, which makes the experience worthwhile. 9th grade was a struggle at first, but as I continued through the year, I began to warm up to it. One of the highlights from freshman year was outdoor ed. I smuggled a bunch of sugar up to my room. Actually, I took all of the sugar. They had to talk to everyone about not taking so much sugar. I proceeded to take more than half of what they had replaced after that meeting. I just kept taking the bags and emptying them for absolutely no reason. I still don't remember what I was trying to achieve. I also poured a lot of sugar into our bathroom sink and made it look like it had been snowing inside. Again, not sure why I did that. Another event from that year's outdoor ed was when I pulled a beer out of the mini fridge in the upstairs common area during break time. Yeah, I had no intentions of drinking the thing, but for some reason I picked it up after noticing it was in the fridge. And of course, that's when the teacher walked in. She didn't notice I had the beer, which at that point I had quickly put behind the leg of a foosball table. But of course, almost everyone else in the room knew I had the bottle. So after the teacher left and I put it back, there was a good deal of laughter. Those are some of the highlights from that trip. During the summer between 10th and 11th grade, I had surgery on my chest. I had something called pectus excavatum. It's where the rib cage grows inwards as your body grows. My case was very bad and my heart became displaced and my lungs compressed. To clarify, this is something I had lived with for years, but it became really prevalent when I started getting taller and growing more in general. But last year was when I finally got the surgery. We went to the second best surgeon in the entire US. Because my case of pectus was so bad, I had to have not one but 2 bars put under my rib cage. The bars stayed in for 3 years. The recovery took a very long time, but by the end of the summer, the overwhelming pain was gone for the most part. I still was limited in my activity, but I was able to get up and move around some more. By last year, life started picking up a bit. I got my car and my license soon thereafter, and over summer I got a job so that I can save up enough money to buy out the car at the end of the lease. I need a lot of money. But that's just a short little summary because this speech is already long enough. Now we've made it to the end. I've lived a very amazing life, and almost no one knows that about me. Still, that's what sort of blows my mind. I've known my classmates for 3 years now, and they know barely anything about the life I've lived. That or they've heard snippets and forgotten. And I'm sure it goes both ways. I probably know next to nothing about their lives. But through these speeches, oftentimes we learn much more about the people we see every day. We learn things we had no idea ever happened to them. So on that note, now that you've heard all about my life, I'll wrap this thing up with a general summary. I've lived in Ohio, California, and Tokyo, Japan. I've traveled all over the world. I've had great friends and a family that I can count on until the day I die. I've got a nice car and a great place to call home. I've even got a great education. I've had many challenges and I've overcome them. I really am incredibly fortunate and just as grateful. Alright, so for the shout outs, I'm going to make these pretty vague and fast because I want the bulk of the shout out time to be more for my parents. Alright, so to start off, the baseball team. You guys are a heck of a lot of fun to joke around with and hang out with. Second, to the friends I've made here, all of them, including classmates, you guys have made going to school much more enjoyable. To my close friend group, thanks for dealing with me every day as well as entertaining me endlessly and constantly going to lunch with me in my barely 4-seater car. You guys are great. Last but undoubtedly not least, my parents. You guys mean more to me than I think you're aware of. You guys do everything you can to give me and my siblings the absolute best you can provide us with in life. You have no idea how much I appreciate what you do for me. I don't get to say that enough. You guys have always been by my side through all the good times and all the bad. And you have always been there for me to talk to, no matter what it is. Your understanding of everything is very forgiving, and I know that even when I get in trouble and have to face the consequences, no matter how much I hate it, it's for my own good. I gotta say, you guys are the coolest, most kick-ass parents I know and could ever ask for. I mean, just look at our driveway. Thank you guys for everything you've done for me, and I love you so much.